Welcome to another exciting episode of Breaking Bitcoin with your host, Justin Wise, lead analyst and co-founder at CrackingCryptocurrency.com. Hopefully you guys are doing absolutely fantastic today, wherever you happen to be tuning in from. And it doesn't matter whether you're watching us across YouTube, Twitch, DLive, Facebook Live, or on Roku with the Investor News Channel app. If you want to support the show, make sure to subscribe, follow, share, and engage in the live chat. We've got a fantastic show for you guys today. A somber tone to today's show, obviously, as we break down the markets. And I want to talk about some fundamental concepts of Bitcoin, obviously, with us all being in this space simultaneously. Obviously, with us all doing, just one sec, guys. Let me make sure that I got everything set up here appropriately. Yeah, everything seems to be good. Everything seems to be broadcasting correctly. Just have to check sometimes. Sometimes I click a wrong button. All right. Obviously, the last 6 to 9 months of Bitcoin's price activity and market has been extremely exciting. And I want to talk about where is Bitcoin going to go over the next 5 years from a fundamental level. We're going to talk about all of that. We're going to talk about this recent price movement. We're going to talk about my current position, which you guys can see on the chart behind me, and much, much more. We're also going to talk, obviously, about Verge pulling out, which is the meme that is going around today, with Pornhub denying PayPal payments and Verge kind of soaring to the forefront with them being excellent marketers. We're also going to talk about Bakkt. We're also going to talk about the IRS. So very important stuff. Make sure you guys don't tune out. We've got a lot of important information coming your way. Before we begin, obviously today's episode is brought to you by the Premium Trading Group. If you guys would like to join us in our pathway toward financial independence, make sure to check out the link at the top of the screen here, premium.crackingcryptocurrency.com, to train with our mentors, to learn our rules, and to use our tools and follow our rules, of course that is. Also, I want to thank this month's Crypto Comment giveaway sponsor, Spectre Security Coin. Make sure to go check them out at spectresecurity.io for all your security needs, especially if you have an ongoing project. With that being said, let's do what we do every single day and give away some crypto on this channel to a lucky winner. So over to the live scene for some crypto. All right, and here we are at the YouTube random comment picker. I want to thank a lot of comments yesterday. You guys did absolutely fantastic with the comments. So let's load these up. And we had 16 unique commenters yesterday. Thank you guys so much. Highly appreciate the support. Maybe something's changed in the back end here, or people are just spreading the word around. Let's randomly pick a winner. And Gamer JAVER, he says, that was an awesome live stream, bud. Thank you so much, my good friend. Hopefully you're back today for another fantastic live stream, because we are here Monday through Friday, 12 to 2 Central Standard Time. But get a hold of me in the Discord. Make sure to hop in there at discord.crackingcryptocurrency.com, and I will tip you some crypto, my good friend. All right. With that being said, here we are at the live scene. Let's make sure everything looks good. Okay, everything does look good, and we can start breaking today's movement down. All right, so yesterday, I was fairly justified in my movement, in my decision. My long that I attempted to take, my reversal long, that was a failing trade. It flipped me into a short on this movement to the downside. That's where I currently sit right now in this flip short position. Interestingly enough, had I not been attempting to take this demand trade, but regardless, that's wishes and fishes. But I do just want to point out that on yesterday's candle, we did get a full risk short signal from the PTP structure, or at least the PTP structure that I've demonstrated on this screen. Now, I actually have some different parameters for Minx today based off the latest parameter optimizations. I'll be publishing those to the members as well. I did mention it. I have been mentioning it for a couple days now, but I mentioned it specifically in my market analysis the other evening, or in my trade updates the other evening. Overall, I'm very, very happy this morning. It is a very good day, even with Bitcoin's price moving down a little bit. Entered into fresh altcoin positions last night. And overall, with the sum of my trades, I'm up about 24% the last time that I looked with my currently open trades, as are all the premium members that are following along with me in the group. So it is a good day. It's a good day for me. Obviously, the alt markets have been very kind to us lately. It's a little bit of a somber day because the team this morning, we were kicking around this fundamental concept of Bitcoin, as we do sometimes. So I don't know how often you guys at home have individuals that you can talk to, that you can speak to, that you can share your thoughts and feelings and beliefs and long-term views about Bitcoin. If you're an individual that is like many that I speak to, where it's largely just you and the charts, I think that can be very unhealthy, because it means that you don't have a good community to speak to. You don't have somebody to bounce ideas off of. You don't have support. You don't have somebody to tell you when you're wrong. You don't have somebody to tell you when you're right. And you have there's very little throttle there. And even individuals that are highly intelligent and highly self-motivated and work very well, you need a group of people around you to help you grow and develop and keep your head on. And you just need honestly, guys, whether you're in Bitcoin for the gains, whether you're in Bitcoin for the privacy, whether you're in Bitcoin for the libertarian movement, whether you're in Bitcoin for the security, it doesn't really matter. This is a, it's a counterculture type movement for the most part. A lot of individuals that are in Bitcoin fall into that realm. And unfortunately, those psychological types that tend to support these movements and support these projects, they can have problems of either not being very self-reflective or having problems of not wanting to reach out, which is something that I've noticed in my journey, not only through trading. Trading is another entirely bag in itself. Often it invites these people as well. Having people that you can just discuss, like, how do you feel about Bitcoin? What do you feel about the narrative? What do you feel about the dangers? What do you feel about the future? Where do you feel Bitcoin's going to be in 5 years? Having a community to discuss that and having friends and people that you can bounce those ideas off of is absolutely essential. And I don't think that I would be where I am today if I didn't have those things for myself. So if you guys need that community, if you guys are looking for individuals to talk to, please feel free to join us in our free Discord chat, discord.crackingcryptocurrency.com. And it's my earnest desire and hope that we can provide the best community for you guys that we possibly can. We've been growing massively lately, and a huge shout out to you guys helping us grow as well. But just make sure that you have somebody that you can talk to about these things. Just like I have you guys. I come here every single day and I just throw my brain out there because this is my therapy. This is the way that this is a way for me to help the world in the best way that I see possible, which is sharing my experience and my story. It's an opportunity for me to guide individuals in the trading strategy that I've spent years building. It's an opportunity for me also to just bounce my ideas off of you. And it helps me stay transparent. It helps me stay accountable. And it makes me a better person and a better trader, because if I make a mistake, if I say something that's inconsistent with something that I've said yesterday or the day prior, I have 50 to 100 to 200 people sending me messages, sending me DMs, leaving a comment in the video, making me very well aware that I'm being logically inconsistent. So thank you guys so much for that. Anyways, enough of that. Today, yesterday, if we do look at the charts, I have pulled up regular Wadatar Explosion. So I think this is going to be helpful because I know a lot of people are using Wadatar Explosion. It is our most popular public indicator. You guys can obviously grab that at tv.crackingcryptocurrency.com. Links in the description below. Our CC EMA script, our Ichimoku script, and our Wadatar Explosion script are all publicly available for you guys to go through on your charts right now. There's also tutorial videos here on the YouTube channel in the Trading Crypto 101 playlist as well, if you guys haven't seen that. But Wadatar Explosion obviously being one of our more popular indicators. And yesterday, it signaled a full risk short trade. Now, I do just want to go look at our proprietary system of how we take profit and pull up Quadriga. And I want to see what the TPs on that are going to be. So if we pull open the data window here on TradingView, we can see that our limit orders are going to be sitting around 82.42, 78.47, and 74.52. That's based off an average true range on the daily time frame of $394. Now, one thing that might be helpful, because we have to understand, let's see, it's possible you have one of these Jericho candles in there. So we do want to smooth that out, as that is going to be an outlier. So let's take a look at median true range. If we smooth out median true range, okay, let's see what average true range is going to be 397. Median true range is actually going to be 441. So average true range is actually going to give us lowered volatility. Let's go see what the average true range was prior to the pump. And it was actually 362. So realistically, even with these large candles in here, it really didn't upset the balance of volatility very far, because we are taking and setting our stop loss and our take profits based off average volatility. What else? There's very few other metrics, unless you have a very clear defined area of support or resistance, that makes sense to me for profit taking. I've tried my hand at all of them, and typically, and what I've found is that just looking at objective volatility works the best. So with that being said, that is going to be putting us down to these lower prices. Now let's throw open the before we throw our lines on here, let's actually hide these and just walk through the dissection of this. Now, again, as I said, I do have optimized settings on Minx here, so we are just going to restore this back to the default here. This is the 10 EMA and the 4 SMA for our smoothing settings. And yes, regardless of how we want to look at this, if we look at where we actually got the actual initial line cross on Minx, it would have been back here on the 29th of October, 2019. I don't know why I always say 2019, because I'm a data guy. But that actually would have been the first initial short signal, or not a short signal that we take based on trend and momentum, but that would have been a short signal insofar as a counter trend reversal signal, or that would have also been a definitely exit your long signal. So very good on an up candle. I do like that Minx tends to give us that counter directional crossover on a candle that is in the opposite direction. I've talked about this a lot. Backstrap with mushrooms, onions on a wild rice bed and wine sauce. Right on, man. Right on. Hey, shout out to all you guys over there on D Live. What's going on, my homies? Good to see you guys. And then we actually can see so a non-volatility signal over here on the 8th of November, and then volatility actually ended up coming in. We had some volatility over here. I do have the regular settings on Wadatar Explosion today, and then volatility did end up coming in. Sorry, I just turned on Heikanashi color change. Volatility did end up coming in on yesterday's candle. So if you missed any of those signals prior to that, this was your Wadatar Explosion signal that telling you to take price to the downside, which we would not have hit take profit 1 yet on this. But now that we've talked about that, I want to talk about a few other dynamics as well, which are going to be bringing up our lines and looking at order blocks and levels of support and resistance. So we have a couple things here. We do have a new monthly low. We will have a new monthly low on the close of this candle. Those levels are important and significant. Obviously, our monthly high for November is going to be coming in over here on the candle that closed on the, opened up on the 4th of November, closed on the 5th. And the high of that candle was actually 95.86, giving us our monthly high, kind of the area. Now, again, these levels, as well as order blocks, are levels that either bounce or break. Now that this level has broken, so I've run the tests on this. There is around a 32% chance that this is a liquidity grab, that this is a stop loss hunt, meaning that if you are a counter trend trader, meaning that you have roughly a little bit less than a 1/3 probability of this being an optimum trade to go long, to counter trend trade this breakdown, to say that this is a liquidity grab. I wouldn't. I don't feel the utmost conviction and confidence in that, especially if you look at the lack of drawn out accumulation that we've seen in this area. Typically, you'll see a stop loss hunt or a spring. A spring is a little bit different. Obviously, in Wyckoff theory, a spring is going to happen typically at the bottom of the market after you've accumulated at the bottom for a while before the markup phase begins, or at least the beginning of the markup phase before you actually hop the gap and then you actually do start the technical markup phase. But I feel far less confident about this. Again, I got flipped into a short position on the breakdown. My long trade stopped out. Again, not at a significant loss because the position size was actually calculated with a stop loss at 81.50, meaning and exiting the trade at 84.61, which is actually where I got filled, was a very, very small loss in dollar terms. So flip short as we sit right now, and unless told otherwise, I will continue to hold this position open for quite some time. Now, the only thing, there are two things that could happen if we end up rallying, closing today's daily candle back above that monthly low or back inside that order block. That would be a good signal. That would increase the odds significantly that this was a liquidity grab or a stop loss hunt, or if on tomorrow's candle, we do that as well. Now, you can juxtapose that with always being hesitant about taking, obviously seeing a natural kind of rise in price. I feel that's less likely right now at this point in time, and the indicators are agreeing with that sentiment as well. So let's pull back open these modified settings, which on Minx right here. Now, the nice thing about these modified settings, and I'll go over the statistics with the members when I actually post them, and I'll run over the back test results and the forward test results as well, because as I usually do, I have multiple systems running simultaneously and always looking to optimize, tweak, adjust, test. That's just my lifestyle. That's what I love. But the nice thing about this is that this allows us, one complaint that I've heard is that, hey man, that Minx stock strategy gets us into some fantastic trades, but the continuation trades can just be a little late. So obviously there's going to be risks and downsides, any changes that we make, but of all the optimizations to attempt to give my members the best that they want and to give me the best results that I can, this is the best compromise that I've found that allows us to continue to sit in nice, long, beautiful trending movements, even when price hangs out for a little while. For example, this tests perfectly well on a lot of these alt BTCs. I mean, literally, when in the back test, if you even strip out the other indicators like our confirmers, if your sentiment is that the entire market is bullish, like literally Minx would be all you need. Like it crosses over when price is still in accumulation. It doesn't cross back under. It rides all of these massive movements up to the upside, which is just gorgeous, which is exactly what I want you to see. Plus, if you combine that with the initial predictive capacity of Minx, which again, as I said, it often is going to flip you short on an up candle and often flip you long on a down candle, which is a really nice thing to see. Now, other than that, everything trending to the downside, Minx below the zero line, Minx below the noise line, commodity channel index below the zero line, Wadatar explosion, printing red columns, i.e. bearish, above the dead zone and above the explosion level with a rising explosion level. You don't really get more bearish than that as far as trending momentum goes. Okay, now, as we talked about yesterday, now breaking that monthly low and breaking down out of this order block that we were talking about, this level of demand, did not pick up price. We did not get a bullish pump. Price did not appreciate. We ended up breaking down, i.e. why I flipped into a short. And looking at order blocks, the next level below us is going to be the range between 82.08 and 79.91. What does that mean? Is that an area where we should look to pick up price? No, not at this point. I would really like to see how price plays out in there. I would, at the very least, if I was even going to consider counter trend trading this, I would want to be waiting at this point in time for a Minx crossover at the very least. Obviously, commodity channel index and our confirmer are most likely not going to rise back above and give us trending long signals until, again, price is trending to the upside. That's why this would be if you were trying to pick up price at that low area, it would be a reversal trade. Now, there is a difference between a confirmed reversal trade and a try to buy a wick down to the downside reversal trade. It's very difficult to do the latter if you do not have some level of support or resistance or an order block or something of that nature. But anyways, the next order block below us, and we can trace the genesis of this order block. Let's see here. We can trace the order block of this genesis back over again to the area where price stopped, where Bitcoin's price stopped on its bullish ascent to the upside, and we can see with very little exception after the initial breakout from 4K. After the initial breakout, from 4K on April 1st, price we can see consolidated pretty much, very smoothly around the $5,000 area until it exploded again in another leg up to the upside. And this is where we saw it. Now, what's interesting about this area right here, is that this was an area of potential distribution, but it did act as reaccumulation again in Wyckoff theory. So individuals were attempting to sell. Anybody that bought at the bottom, a lot of individuals were selling here. But I think the savvier investors were obviously accumulating at that area because they had been waiting for the breakout. They had been waiting for a big bullish candle. And as I've said many times, Bitcoin is an asset that when it starts putting in big bullish candles one after the other, you don't argue with that. You don't counter trade that. You don't counter trade parabolic movements. You don't fade parabolic movements. You let them ride. You let them run. And I think a lot of individuals that have been, again, this is most traders, unfortunately, that especially vocal public traders. I mean, just go, if you go back and look, right? For example, my channel is a good example. You guys can go back at, I've never taken my live streams down. My very first video is still up. You guys can go back and just look at everything that I said, and verify everything that I said for myself. Now, most people, this is just reality. If you actually go back and look at what traders say, they were trying to short all the way up. They were trying to long all the way down. It's just ridiculous. And this is the beauty of trend following trading, is that you are on the right direction of the market. And as I've come on the stream and I've showed you guys 20% wins, 30% wins, 50% wins. And those things happen when you trade on the right side of the market. Your first goal is not to make money. Your first goal is to not lose money. And if you start from that philosophy and you learn how to trade in the direction of the trend at all times, good things naturally happen. It sometimes takes time. You sometimes enter into chop. You sometimes have down months. You sometimes have drawdown. These are all natural things that a community helps with, that discipline helps with, that backtesting and knowing the stats of your profitable strategy help with. But the end result is generally the same. Trend following trading has been around for a very, very, very long time because it works. And the reason why most traders wash out is because they either trade too much, they overtrade, they don't understand risk management, they have no discipline, they have no psychology, and they try to counter trend trade everything. And I think, unfortunately, that's a lot of the education that's out there in the space today, and why I'm so committed to what we do here at Kraken Cryptocurrency. So, but you can see that obviously once price got up to this order block, this is where massive selling came in. That area became, again, we had a little bit of consolidation here, a little bit of chop. And then that area turned into a bullish order block. That area turned into a bullish breaker, actually, at this point in time. And you can see that. We actually accumulated at these lows at the bullish breaker, had a spring, i.e. stop loss, not liquidity grab, and then massive Jericho candles to the upside. And again, I still have this concept in the back of my head that it would be very, very, very unlikely that we get absolutely no bullish follow through on that Jericho movement to the upside. But so far, we have not seen it. And we can't allow again, just like me, I am in an active short now. So we can't allow our biasy about the trade or our thoughts about the trade subjectively or future price movement or direction or anything like this to influence what we're actually doing in the market. We have to be very careful that we actually just listen to our system, trade in the direction we're supposed to trade in, and if we're going to take discretionary trades, set ourselves up so that we don't lose a lot and that we can capitalize if possible if a trade moves against us, which is exactly what we did in the group. Now, So I think the next area to be looking for, to be discussing, to be looking at, what the area that I'm watching to see what kind of reaction we get is that 8208 to 7991. Getting down below that, again, we'll talk about there when we get there. I don't really want to take the time. I don't really think it's germane, honestly, at this point in time to be looking at lower price targets at this point in time. I would be very surprised if we don't get some sort of reaction from that area. But again, I will be trading in whatever direction that the system tells me to trade, which right now is to the downside. So definitely need to be in a short position at this point in time. For me, you guys are free to make your own trading decisions. We could be wrong. Tomorrow we could get a big old Jericho candle to the upside, and I'll be on here saying, yeah, guys, got stopped out on the short. Sucks to be me. Trading is like that sometimes. But it doesn't matter. Overall, you just trade the system. And as I said earlier, sometimes you're going to have drawdowns. Sometimes you're going to have trades that go against you. Sometimes you're going to have chops. Sometimes you're going to get faked out. But as long as you've done the work to build a system and that system has performed for you as it's performed for me for many years, then you just feel confident. You don't get affected by losses. You don't let the market get you down. You stay nice and steady. This also especially helps if you have your life in order. So, by the way, something that I want to talk about that you guys may or may not care about. But over the last few months, I've really begun optimizing my house and my workstations and my workflow. And I have seen a dramatic increase in my mood, and I've seen a dramatic improval in my productivity and the aesthetic pleasure of my house. This might be nerdy, but I got into the Marie Kondo folding method. So now all my clothes, all my storage is all organized and optimized and folded and compact. And just throwing that out there. If you guys are looking for a mood boost, go Google some go YouTube some Marie Kondo videos and optimize your workflow, because again, I feel very, very happy about that. So just always on the lookout for anything psychologically that can improve my performance, psychologically that improve my mood, psychologically that can improve my productivity. And that's why, again, I do intermittent fasting. That's why I drink buttered coffee in the morning. That's why I trade. That's why I exercise regularly. That's why I have a good community. That's why I spend time with my daughter. By the way, if you see a scratch on my face, that's what happens when you wrestle with a toddler. But anyways, overall, it's a good day, guys. And I hope you guys are doing well in the group, man. What are my take profit targets for that BTC short? For me right now, again, they're posted in my live trades tracker for the premium members. But I am going to be taking profit at 8208, 7991, and then actually let me go look and see. It is going to be. Let me actually look at my sheet. My third take profit is 77.15 actually on that position. Overall, again, now just looking at my live trades tracking sheet, I am up about 26.18%. Let me see if I can show this. There we go. Yep, I can show that. So yeah, this is my live trades tracking sheet. All the premium members have access to this. This is all my open positions currently right now, as you guys can see. Overall, again, and it is this nice diversified approach to putting on your trades and actively looking at the market over a long period of time. That allows you to balance your portfolio out, that allows you to have the right trades, that allows you to not take big losses if you are actively playing both sides of the market, cutting losses very, very early, cutting your average losses very, very early, and then allowing your winning trades, your trending trades to run as far as humanly possible. So obviously, if you guys want access to this, you guys know the steps, premium.krakencryptocurrency.com if you're new to the channel. And for those of you who are premium members, by the way, spent about an hour in the live voice chat this morning with the premium members, as well as DaVinci's 2-hour mentoring session this morning. Great time, great questions. Thanks, guys, for showing up for that. I always enjoy sitting down with you guys and doing the mentoring, answering the questions. Really looking forward to the videos we talked about. Obviously, the ByBit tutorial coming out this weekend, the first part of our ByBit tutorial series. My video about how to keep your Bitcoin indestructible, and then also the first in our San Francisco Blockchain Week interview series with Particle Coin, PART, by popular demand. We will be publishing that. I'm big in Japan. Belong in Hong Kong, baby. Okay, so we've talked about the technicals of the trade. We've talked about take profit targets. We've talked about where we're going. Let's go through lower time frames and look at signals. Here we are on the 12-hour time frame. We did get a continuation signal 2 12-hour candles ago, so that would have put us in for this short trade. Let's kind of go see how else this would have played out. Let's see here. Yep. So here's an initial short signal on this candle on the 12-hour. This would have rode this trade down, exiting on this candle, but we most likely would have already been out potentially with our trailing take profit at that point in time. But otherwise, here's the exit signal. Let's see here. When is the continuation signal again? Oh, wait, sorry. Okay, no. So actually, we did get that. Oh, no, was it? Oh, you know what? Actually, sorry. No, here's the exit signal. It's not on this candle. That's beautiful. Look at that. Hold on. Just want to make sure you guys can verify this. I'm going to zoom in. So look here on the 10th of November, Minx is below the noise line. And here on the 11th of November, it actually gives us the crossover. So 10th of November keeps us in the short trade, and then gives us the exit signal on this candle. And that's what I'm talking about with the predictive functions of Minx when used appropriately. For the crossover function, it is predictive. It does have a very beautiful, it's just the way it's been programmed. It's just, I put a lot of work and time into Minx. And it does tend to get you into a long position on a down candle. It does tend to get you in a short position on an up candle. Not all the time. Nothing's perfect, but it is nice when it happens. And then basically keeps us flat, or at least probably not long because we're below the baseline here. And then get you into that short trade right over here. Okay. Let's see here. Four-hour time frame. We would have been in a short on this candle and exiting on this up candle actually right here. Continuation 4-hour signal right now. 2-hour time frame. Didn't actually handle the trade very well. 2-hour missed it. I mean, it would have had you flat. It wouldn't have had you long or anything. But yeah, 2-hour hasn't done fantastic on this movement right here. The daily's done very, very well. The 12-hour's done very well, which the higher time frames are typically better to trade on anyways. You're not gonna run into the risk of overtrading as you typically will. That's about all I have to say on Mr. Bitcoin. What do you guys think? Let me know in the chat. What do you guys think? How do you guys feel about the TA today? Do you guys are you guys short? Are you guys long? What are the levels that you guys are looking at? What's the concepts that you guys are looking at? Always interested to hear your thoughts, your opinions, answer questions, and try to provide as much clarity not only about my trading system, but my strategy and my thoughts as well. And honestly, it's this type of communal communication that allows us to flesh out these ideas very, very well. So with that being said, we're just going to go down to the lower time frames and just kind of hang out for a little bit while I check at the chat. Look for some questions. Actually, you know what? While I'm checking out the chat, I think I'd really love to get Midwest Attempts beat on this. So let me actually. Okay, yes, he is available. So it is time for today's Bitcoin weather report with junior analyst Midwest Attempts. Midwest, what do you have for us today?
Mom? It's me. Yeah. I told everyone to short. And it went up 15% today. Yeah, Justin doesn't know yet. Yeah. Yeah, get the shovels out. get the shovels out. You know where I buried it. I'll call you soon. Oh, looking crazy bullish, Justin.
Fascinating Midwest attempts. Fascinating. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I see you're doing better. Yesterday you were looking pretty down, so it's good to see your pot. Hang in there, man. Just hang in there, bro. It's gonna be okay. All right, guys. So let's check out the chat. Let me give a big shout out to everybody watching today. Mr. Ether, Andrew Munns, Hugo Chill, Ron Legato, Dark Rico. We got Caprica in here as always. JJ Beach Bum. What's going on, my good friends, my family? MT Coiner. Gui. Oh, what's going on, Gui? MT Coiner is getting down on the deer for hunting season. Hell yes, my friend. Lee, good to see you, my friend. AGW, Ken D, Crypto Jack, Ali. Ken D says, just watching you here has helped me to just exit bad trades instead of doubling down looking for a winner. I'm very, very glad, man. Thank you very much. That's a huge step toward profitability. He says, my average trade is a small loss, but I've rode my winners nicely, and I'm up over 60% since late June without any futures or leverage at all. Straight up winning trades is it. Good, my friend. Good, my friend. Cut the, that's good. An average trend following trade, your average trade is generally going to be a small loss. And then you have big wins. You have big wins. You get rid of big losses. You allow yourself to have small losses and small wins. And then trading in the right direction, you get those big movements and you capitalize on them. Congratulations, man. Mr. Ether asks, how many of us have been around since back then? That's a great question. Not many of us. I would say that those of us who've been I've been around since 2016, and most people, most people that I know, it's like a completely new crowd over the last 7 to 9 months. Ken D has cats. His face should look like a scratching post. Scrooge McDuck, thank you so much, my friend. Good trades, Justin. GTMK15 or 1V says, thanks for the TA today. Any chance I want to look at the old silver or gold dollar pairs? Zhao and Zag, let's add them to the list, my friend. Cryptonomics thinks BTC is about to bite the dust. All in the Mind 2006 is long. Digital Daddy, what's going on, my man? Jack finds BTC price hard to read right now. Lee's been short since 8,600, looking for take profits at 8,269, 7,800, and 7,480. IBMOS76 strategy is telling him to go short at the daily close. Michael short. GBU Wally, what's up, fool? Digital Daddy says it's a very trappy area today. I have no strong opinion about the chart. It takes a lot. That actually says a lot about you, because most people feel like they have to know. Like, oh no, bro, I totally know where price is going, man. You see this trend line right here, man. You see this Fibonacci retracement right here. That clearly says. Plus, by the way, it's like if we look at the crossover of the RSI, look at the stochastics. Momentum oscillators pointing strongly up, like a strong rigid, and really they don't know. They don't know. And so it takes a lot of courage and maturity, actually, to say, yeah, I don't know, man. So that's good on you. Good on you. Crypto Rick says, how do we get the Heikinashi color change on WADA? I can't see it on my trading view. So there actually is not a, if you have time transformation, there is there is a Heikinashi option on time transformation. But all I'm doing here is I've just added a second indicator, and you can dock indicators wherever you want them. So I believe this one is just called Heikinashi color change. So you just go into indicators and you search for, let's just search for Heikinashi. What one is this? Heikinashi. Is this Heikinashi bar color by? Yeah, this is the one I'm using. I believe is It's called Heikinashi bar color by Wyckoff Trader, and then it'll pop up down here, and then all you need to do is you just click on it. I think it's over here the 3 dots, and you can say move to an existing pane above, existing pane below, and that way you can just dock it somewhere where it's out of your way. I just stick it down there so it's out of the way. But it's just a separate indicator. Eli back, thank you so much for the $5 donation, my friend. He asks if we can take a look at BAT. Absolutely, man. Let's go take a look at basic attention token. Pretty excited about the BTC pairs. They are. They didn't drop very hard with this dump. Most of them are continuing to rally. Most of them are doing quite nicely. Whoa. Hey. Big sneeze. You guys know what that means. You guys know what that means. All right, so let's take a look at Mr. Basic Attention Token. Basic Attention Token. Okay, the initial Minx entry was actually back here on the 4th of November 2019, and you guys can see the nice thing about this new optimization for Minx is that it just tracks price. It tracks price. It doesn't give you the early exit on this candle or these candles. It just keeps you in there nicely. Now the trending long signal would have come here, so you wouldn't have gotten as optimum of an entry. The trending signal did come here, but overall, not a terrible entry if we think the Bakkt is going to continue, or the Batman is going to continue to go up. So let's first plot out our architecture here. Oh, let's see if there's anything a little bit more significant. I want to see. Okay, that right there and right there. Yep, I'm going to say that's the genesis here. Yeah, bullish breaker here. Backs back to here. Bullish breaker here. Bullish breaker here. So this is probably going to be the latest iteration of it and probably the best plot right here. Yeah, that is pretty good. So we are consolidating underneath a bearish breaker right now, and you can see that this level's been sold once, it's been sold twice, it's been sold 3 times. So that's 3 tests on resistance. And what do we see here? We see a low that's been established. What's our current low? What's our current market low? Down at about 1569 sat. So since the low just this year, just recently actually, price has rallied up over 120% in BTC terms. We're going to check the USD chart here in just a little bit, see how price is holding its value, trading against or in spite of Bitcoin. So again, what are we doing? We are consolidating. Let's pull up a baseline right here. Interesting. Below the 30-period Donchian. Interesting. And not a big wick. So that is interesting. But we are putting in that nice breakout behavior that I'd like to see. So from low to high, so from whatever low we form to the resistance where we reject from, we form a low, a higher low, we form a higher low above the median of that range, above the middle of that range. And then we start climbing back up to that resistance. That is the breakout price action pattern, if I were to say, that I do like to see. Now, this will be confirmed if we can get a nice daily candle close above 30.45. That's going to be your typical breakout area. And again, remember, breakouts are risky trades. Breakout trading is risky, so they're good entries, but you always want to be, if price doesn't immediately go in your favor, you want to cut that loss very early, right? So breakout trades, just like trend following trades, you're throwing a jab, you're throwing a jab, you're throwing a jab, you're throwing a jab, and you're pulling that jab very, very quickly if you don't connect, right? Until you actually get that nice connection, and then you throw the right hook, which is a large position size. Because when things break out, they break out quite powerfully. So I don't really see a good trade entry right now. Obviously, I think we missed the optimum entry back here. What is interesting is that we actually did get a WADA long signal, but that close to resistance, again, won't want to be hesitant about that because that could just be overbought. And as you can see, price has been trending up fairly strongly over the last week. So I would like to see, again, for this, I would like to see a breakout trade. PTP is confirming that we can be looking for longs, that we are in an overall bullish environment. We are below the baseline though right now. So we closed above it, and now we're looking to close below it. So that's again almost an immediate exit signal right here that we're dealing with. So I would wait to see what kind of pullback we end up getting on this. If you want to counter trend trade this, if you want to accumulate low, I typically only prefer doing that above the baseline, but that's going to be your own preference. I want to see price above 30.45 and get some confirmation that we are actually going to break out of this range. Overall, I think that price looks quite good. Again, we had a nice rally over to this level of resistance after already testing that level of resistance twice. Now, it is possible that because we did dip so low after those two rejections, that we're going to need to like retest this resistance and re-weaken it. It could work out that way. So it's possible that we're going to see a rejection, and we might even break this low, which would be, again, why I wouldn't be super eager to just hopping along right now. I'd like to see price confirm by breaking out above this range. And then if we can do that, then we'll just trend follow that thing up as high as it wants to go. I mean, don't count altcoins out. Altcoins, I think, have a lot of gas left in them, especially, I'm a big fan of Basic Attention Token. I'm a Brave verified publisher. If you guys want to support the channel, you can donate BAT to the channel if you want. It goes to making the stream better. Let's see here. All in the Mind had a dream last night that he checked his phone and Bitcoin was at 22,450 and climbing. Can I look at ZERP Z19? Let's add it to the list and see if I can get to it, my friend. From Farbot. Jonathan W says, Jam Master J, they lied to me, man. Gui asks if I have a position on the pound yen. How's it going? Thanks. It's going well, man. I actually have not been trading Forex for the last couple of weeks, so I don't have any active open positions right now in FX. I've just been too focused on development, been too focused on what I'm doing in cryptocurrency right now at this point in time. Looking to get back to Forex here maybe in a few weeks, but again, I want to kind of we're really deep into some of these projects that we're working on. So let's see here. Now, I want to go take a look before we finish with this BAT calculation. I want to go look at its dollar valuation. And yeah, price, Basic Attention Token is holding its dollar value up quite nicely, quite strongly. No exit signal, actually. Interestingly enough, a long signal on the dollar pair just yesterday. So overall, quite good. Looks like we are potentially maybe moving into a distributive pattern here on the dollar pair as we look. Again, this is going to, it's always very helpful to look at the actual dollar pairs as calculated by TradingView, especially if there's not a dollar market. They tend to move a little bit more differently. And you can really see like good signals as to what to stick your money into, for example. Like here, let me show you guys HoloChain. So I've had a HoloChain for a position for quite a while. And if we go look at HoloChain, now this doesn't look like very much, but look, this is the dollar chart of HoloChain, meaning that if you would have stuck your money in HoloChain instead of holding Bitcoin anytime from August to now, you'd be up about 40% on your dollar value. All right. Now, obviously, HoloChain's a real pain in the ass to get filled on. Your orders are going to sit there on the order books for like a week to get filled. But do what I do. When price was low, I just market bought. I bought a sat higher. Who cares? Dollar value has been maintained by that. And I currently have, anyways. So, these are charts that you don't want to ignore. Looking at the dollar value of pairs, looking at the dollar value of pairs. I got to get my water. Hold on, guys. Okay. Let's get to some of these requests real quick. The first thing that I want to do is I want to look at Ken D's comment. So he had made a comment on the day before yesterday's video. And he asked if I had a couple of minutes to look at order blocks and tell me my opinion of possible future entry points on Bitcoin. 7,400 is the first one we'll look at. So clearly 7,400 makes a whole lot of sense. That's a good order block. Obviously, it was the local top of the beginning of the final leg of the 2017 run up. You can see here we distributed for a little bit, had an initial sell off, and then broke that, forming a bullish breaker. And if we do zoom over to the left, we can see, I mean, this is an extremely significant level of support. That's where the market bottomed out initially. I mean, obviously price with slippage moved quite low, but we can see the market did turn around here for a significant rally back in 2018. We did accumulate briefly underneath it before another powerful rally back in 2018. And you can see that we had a very weak bounce before, again, that level broke down here. But yeah, I will not discount the significance of that level. 7,400 is obviously very good. It was also the local top here before on the last rally in 2018, before the breakdown. So that one makes a whole lot of sense. That's a clear one. I've had that one on my chart before. And your second one's going to be 55.10, I believe. You know, this one makes less sense to me than the roughly the $4,800, $4,900 level. This is typically the one that I've always gone with. You can see, again, what is an order block? It's the last up candle or down candle before a shift in market structure, i.e. higher highs, higher lows. You don't really see that here. I mean, obviously, you do see this is a decent level of horizontal support and resistance. Obviously, we can see that it kind of undergirds the low here. It undergirds the low here. You know, you can consider it a consolidation level here. And obviously, it was the local top where we consolidated. Let's go look at a little bit more historical price data. Again, I don't think this is a great order block because there's no shift in market structure here. There's just, you know, kind of a down. So there's no significant shift in market structure. Again, I think this is a good example of horizontal support and resistance. Or again, looking for a break. This is a breakout trade. This is a breakdown trade. This was a breakout trade. Actually, this was a local top, to be quite honest with you, before consolidation. But so that level makes sense. I wouldn't call it an order block, but it's a good level. And then your final one was obviously 34.70, getting way down there, way down. And let's go look historically. Yeah, there's a big order block here. And you can see that it represented the bottom of the 2018, 2019 accumulation cycle. So obviously those levels make a lot of sense. Those levels make a lot of sense. Those are good levels. I think they're fairly objective. I think those are great areas to be looking for positions if you're looking to dollar cost average into a long-term position on Bitcoin, obviously, because that's what you're going to be doing with a long-term investment. You are waiting for price to drop so that you can aggressively buy. Again, the Warren Buffett method, when others are greedy, you should be selling. When others are fearful, you should be buying, which is the best buy and hold system that I'm aware of, because it's exactly what I practice with dividend stocks. That's exactly what I practice with index funds. That's exactly what I practice with my investments for Bitcoin. So I think those are good levels, my friend. Okay. I want to get into... we'll do XAU and ZAG real quick. On my broker, Awanda. Let's see here. Okay, so we are going to be getting a reversal long signal from Minx today on the close of the daily candle, which is going to be here very, very shortly, about 3 hours. So we're going to be getting a reversal buy signal from Minx on the daily time frame right here. No trending signal. In fact, the last trending signal that we got was actually, look at this. If we take Heikinashi color change off, this is an up candle. And where does the short signal come from? Right here. There's the short signal on XAU, being able to take this PM down to the downside. The last time we talked about XAU, we talked about this. We talked about this reversal area right here. Which did, we did reject from there, had a little bit of a run up, and then the movement came to the downside. Minx gave the reversal short signal off of this candle right here, and then actually gave you a trending short signal right here, which is quite nice. Yeah, I don't, XAU is pretty clear here, man. Kind of similar to, this is why I want to argue against this narrative of traditional markets collapsing. I mean, if we look at what PMs are doing, and if we look at what Bitcoin's doing, and if we consider those stores of value to hedge against traditional markets, and we can see those going up in price, and we can see that PMs, Bitcoin, and things like that are consolidating and moving to the downside. What does that? I think that is kind of the market. The market decides. Everybody has their opinions, but ultimately the market's what tells you what happens, right? That's why current price is the most important thing, not historical price, not order blocks, not anything. It's just current price. Overall, this looks like a reversal of trend potentially. I mean, we've been below the baseline for a minute here, and although price is chopped and consolidated around, it's possible that we get a pickup here at some point in time. And again, obviously XAU, to trade XAU, it's very choppy. Trading and looking at investment is very, very different. Obviously, we've been on a nice leg up for this year and going back to late 2018 at the very last accumulation phase. But yeah, lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high, lower low, lower lower, lower low. So this market structure hasn't shifted. This is a bearish market structure, and it's trying to be bought up, but overall not working very well. But again, that's less important than to be pointing out that there is a reversal long signal. So reversal long signal you can take with low risk. Obviously have a very clear objective exit point and something to exit your trade should that not work in your favor. We don't have a trending signal yet at this point in time. We might be able to get one here in a day or two if price does continue to climb. So that's kind of where we're at with XAU. I think probably the best thing to do is stay flat or take a small position on the reversal long. XAG USD. XAG USD does not look fantastic, although interestingly enough, we are going to be getting a reversal long signal on XAG as well. So we can be looking to take silver to the upside as well on a reversal trade. Objectively, I don't think that this looks fantastic, but that matters less than the signal. But no, clearly no trending long signal. Price is not in a clearly established trending long, like we've got the signal here, and like we got the signal here, and like we got the short signal here, and like we got a short signal here. So riskier trade, lower probability of success. But precious metals are something that you can look at the demand areas and supply areas. So let's see if we can make an objective case for this to be an area of demand or supply. I mean, clearly this is a critical area. We can see all this accumulation that took place right here. Actually, this was really redistribution. We can see all this redistribution that took place right here. And this is the exact level that XAG has bounced from before. And now we've made a lower low into this area. A bounce from here would not surprise me. This is also our previous low over here. Let's see if we can find. Go find the latest. You know, the only thing that worries me here is this order block that I just tracked from back here. This is the highest up candle before a shift in market structure, order block. That lines up nearly perfectly with this, which is the last down candle before a shift in market structure. And what we can see is a break of that, i.e. turning this into a bearish breaker, and then an initial sell-off. So if we get price crossing and closing above, 1703, 1717, that would be a bullish sign, a break of that level, and the conversion of this back into a bullish order block, bullish breaker. But right now, order block theory would have you selling this area because you've broken down, you've back tested. So this is a BPC, a break, pullback, and then you're looking for continuation to the downside. And overall, the trend is to the downside, as we can see on ZAG. We're not in a clearly defined bullish trend. We did have a nice run up and then price distributed for a while. And this is potentially a sign that we have broken that level of support. We've back tested it as resistance and that we are going to continue on to the downside. So potentially the best thing is to take no action. Obviously, you could split your trade. You could either go short and use virtual stops to put you in the correct position, or you could go long and short simultaneously and drop the loser and add the position to the winner, which is the way that I like to do it. I know it doesn't make a whole lot of sense mathematically, but execution-wise, it makes me feel more comfortable. But the other way is valid, and I've had my members, a couple members who are very, very good at math point that out to me. Or you could just wait a couple days. You could just wait until Monday, see how the market opens, and trade in the dominant trend. Because if we get continuation to the downside, well, then that's pretty clear, strong continuation of, at this point in time, a fairly volatile bearish trend on ZAG. Again, we're kind of going through this weird area where we are trend flipping. We had a very choppy area of the market over the last couple of months after a nice, strong trend to the upside on silver. And now we've back tested a level of support as resistance. Or you look for that breakout and you get the nice trending long signal and you look to take price to the upside. I think that's the best way to do it. Wendy says, the only green on my trading watch list are traditional stocks. I wonder why. With that being said, guys, we're going to take a brief commercial break in a word from our friends over at ByBit. Before we do that, when we come back, guys, do not go anywhere because we've got so much to talk about, so much good information to share when we come back. We'll look at a few more chart requests later on in the show, but right when we get back, I want to talk to you guys a lot about my feelings and thoughts and the group's thoughts about, so I don't want to speak for anybody, but again, this just comes out of my thoughts coming out of a conversation that we've been having around the office this morning. And I just want to share that with you guys and ask some questions and get your opinions on things about where Bitcoin fundamentally is, shifts in sentiment in the space, shifts in market participants in the space, and the overall narrative of Bitcoin. And are a lot of people willingly believing in a false narrative when it comes to Bitcoin, and what I think is absolutely important to understand about Bitcoin and investing in Bitcoin. So we're going to get into that as soon as we get back. We're going to talk about Verge. We're going to talk and its latest pump. We're going to talk about and why that happened. We're going to talk about Bakkt. We're going to talk about Bakkt. I want to comment on Chico Crypto's latest video on Bakkt as far as it being a potential another move in by Wall Street, and is Bakkt actually what it claims to be, or is it an attempt by the Illuminati lizard lords to overtake Bitcoin and dethrone liberty once and for all? Dun dun dun. We'll talk about that, and we're also going to talk about the IRS issuing refunds for cryptocurrency investors. Refunds. Don't go anywhere. All that and more. But first, quick word from our friends over at ByBit.
This is Jason when he first learned about Bitcoin margin trading on BitMEX.
Why? Why? Give it back! Give it back! Give it back!
This is Jason 6 months later after signing up for ByBit with the Cracking Cryptocurrency referral link found in the description below. Don't make the same mistake as Jason. Sign up today at bybit.crackingcryptocurrency.com.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the show. Thank you so much for hanging in through that break. If you are just tuning in for the second hour, as I know some of you do, you guys come in for the news and less the charts, make sure to go back and rewatch the first half of the episode because we did cover a lot of important concepts and topics. Now, moving right along, guys, we are going to be talking about Bitcoin. We're going to be talking about Verge, and we're going to be talking about the IRS as well as Bakkt. So before we do that, I think it's very important that we talk about thoughts and opinions on Bitcoin because I want to have a good, open, honest conversation with you guys. And for this, I think that it's important that we head over into the conversation room. All right, here we are in the conversation room, guys. Thank you so much for joining me here in the conversation room. Everything is looking good. For some reason, the lighting is very weird in here today. I'm sorry about that. Lighting is very dim in here. Let me see if I can just boost it up a little bit. that helped a little bit, but overall, for some reason, it's kind of dark in here. Anyways, it's okay. It's okay. We'll get through this together, guys. So let's talk. Let's talk shop. So my question for you guys is, where do you guys feel that Bitcoin is heading over the next couple of years? We have the halvening coming up. That is an important fundamental event. There is a lot of bullish thoughts. There's a lot of bullish excitement in the atmosphere. But I think we need to take a step back. And again, as I said earlier, kind of take a fundamental look at this. So how do you guys feel that Bitcoin will respond to the halvening? This is thrown out there as the token Bitcoin's going to pump because halvening, right? Without a lot of thought behind that. Of course, you have the supply and demand argument. You have the anti-inflationary argument. You have the deflationary argument, excuse me. But what would happen to the sentiment? What would happen to your sentiment in this space? What would happen to the sentiment of individuals that are active market participants right now in Bitcoin that are speculating on the price appreciation of Bitcoin that are in for the gains? If we don't see a massive run up to the Bitcoin halvening, if we don't see this big spring out of this consolidation area, and if we do descend further down into the bowels of El Diablo, as is many people's fears, especially those who have large positions in Bitcoin, and that's a lot of money to those individuals. Very similar, we saw the panic, we saw the fear, we saw the massive sell-off back in 2018 when individuals were entering close to the market top and buying into the narrative, buying into the fact that Bitcoin was going to buy them their next Lamborghini or Ferrari. And then what did we see? We saw an 18-month, very pronounced, very painful, very dramatic, long crypto winter and bear market. And let's not discount the impact psychologically that bear market still has on individuals that are still active market participants. For some people who entered into the space, price has still not gone back on Bitcoin to their average entry point, unfortunately. And this is reality for some of you potentially watching. Now, I think that we've seen an influx of new market participants over the last 6 to 9 months, and there's been this other concept circulating through the air, circulating through the ethos, circulating through the waves here in the Bitcoin community, which is the Bitcoin time traveler prediction, right? Which again is just another very, very bullish sentiment about how Bitcoin is going to be this price on this date and this price on this date, and it's just going to go up and 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 up. Now, if Bitcoin does not do that, what is the sentiment going to be for market participants who came in, again, buying that same narrative that got them into the market back at 17,000 and 18,000 and 15,000 and 16,000 and 19,000 back in 2017, back during the run up to the all-time high? Will their ambitions be shattered, and will they again contribute to this fairly large sell-off? And I want to thank, let's go back a little bit. Let's go back to 2017 and let's talk about the Bitcoin Cash hard fork. Because prior to the Bitcoin Cash hard fork in August of 2017, although there were disagreements in the community, and although that toxic seed of the scaling argument was already there and had been there for a long time, at least as long as I've been involved in Bitcoin, since 2016, or even on the Bitcoin Talk community forums and forums around on Reddit and Telegram, that toxic element of the Bitcoin community was always there. And that culminated obviously with the Bitcoin Cash split, and the effect on the community is not one that we can easily overlook. And I don't think it's a big coincidence that we saw the CMEs step in immediately afterwards, and then we saw the crypto winter begin right after that. Because prior to that, though, with all the toxicity, with all the scaling arguments, with all the big block fools, in my opinion, running around. And again, I don't want to call them fools. Some of them honestly believe in what they're talking about, but overall, I don't think that's germane to Bitcoin's use case. I don't think that was germane to Bitcoin's kind of concept or idea. I understand why it's so dark in here because I moved a monitor. So I'll fix that for Monday's stream. Don't worry, guys, but just deal with it for right now. I'll apologize. Listen to the content, not the visuals. And I think that did a lot of psychological damage to market participants or to individuals that were in Bitcoin. Prior to that, I would say that although there was issues in the community, there was a large feeling of unification. I largely it felt that people were on the same side, were on the same page, that we're in this together. And then that Bitcoin Cash argument, that scaling issue, that big blocks argument came to the head, and what resulted was a very, very ugly fork. And what came out of that was Craig Wright. Ultimately, Craig Wright's kind of rise to fame following that came out of that, obviously now with BSV, and we can't discount the current assault on Bitcoin from the BSV proponents. So they say, trashing Bitcoin, talking crap about Bitcoin. And interestingly enough, this is exactly what we saw back in 2017. We've already seen this potentially where we're at, and I just want to kind of forward look and think about what impact this is going to have in the future, because back in back in 2017, we saw this similar, again, this was back in the accumulation period of 2017 when, really the accumulation period began in 2016, but I digress. We saw this kind of same individuals coming out, and this was the Bitcoin Cash. These were the big blockers coming to the forefront and being more vocal, trashing Bitcoin, saying that Bitcoin couldn't scale, saying that Bitcoin was dead, saying that, it was going to be these new projects or these new things that were going to take the limelight. Bitcoin is old, Bitcoin's tired. And, because the community was still largely unified at that point in time, we were able to just largely be like, be gone with you, hoes. And it wasn't really a thing. But now I feel that there's been a nastier split in the Bitcoin community with this latest BSV thing, and whether or not people think that Craig Wright is Satoshi or isn't Satoshi, I think it's quite objectively clear that he's not Satoshi. But it does seem that there's good evidence that he was involved in early Bitcoin, at least knew Satoshi was somehow involved. And again, that whole field is murky and the information is very murky. And we really only have speculation at this point in time, regardless of the court case, regardless of what individuals say, regardless of what people think they know. For me, in my mind, it's very, very clearly that individual is not actually Satoshi Nakamoto. But, there's this other element where for me, I don't want to know who Satoshi is. I don't think this search for the Red October for Satoshi Nakamoto is actually a good thing. The reason why is because, very similar to Guy Fawkes from V for Vendetta, ideas and inspiration, ideas, they live forever. They are eternal. They are what motivate people to change society, to make contributions, to change their lives, to create, to develop, to innovate, to build. That was the original ethos and inspiration behind Bitcoin. And everything that's come out of Bitcoin since the white paper was released was the idea, was the inspiration of decentralization, of pulling power away from government, of establishing a decentralized financial currency that was not tied to traditional markets, that allowed people to have unconfiscatable funds, that allowed people to be private, that allowed people to transact without permission from third parties. That was the entire ethos behind Bitcoin in the first place. And then you got people that piled in from from elements, from computer science, from anarchy, from libertarianism, from all elements kind of piled into this idea, this motivating impetus of decentralized currency. But the reality is that for me anyways, I'm just speaking personally, not knowing who Satoshi is liberating, because you can either put him on a pedestal, you can either deify him, you can either demonize him, you can either be, don't care about him. But the fact that he's anonymous, the fact that nobody knows who he is, allows people to not focus on the personality and allows people to focus on the idea. And I think probably the most destructive thing of what Craig Wright has done is by getting people, unfortunately, to focus on the personality and less on the ideas. Again, it seems that a lot of the new market participants who have joined since 2018, since 2017, are very, very different market participants from the people that were in Bitcoin or were getting into Bitcoin back when I started back in 2016. They are largely very, very speculative in nature. And not to say that people back in 2016 weren't speculative. Of course they were speculative. But again, there was this unified feeling back in 2016 that I don't feel. That I feel it's still there. It's still there. The Bitcoin community is still incredibly strong, but there is trouble in paradise. There's trouble in paradise potentially, and I think it's important that we have this conversation. We talk about how to deal with it, and then we talk about the bigger picture here. On top of this, we also have a lot of fears over centralization of mining in China, and the fears of China stepping forward with its digital currency and its share of the global economic sector. And fears over, what would happen to the Bitcoin network if China were ever try to exert its influence, to exert its muscle over Bitcoin, potentially, which we haven't really seen a nation state really step in and try to do that. We've seen nation states try to co-opt Bitcoin and use Bitcoin, but we haven't seen, a very large player on the international scene step in and make a large play, something like the United States, Europe, China, or, not Europe, Great Britain or Germany or China or any of these nations. We haven't really seen them step in and try to co-opt Bitcoin in that way. So obviously there's those fears as well. And, basically where I'm getting at with all this is not to spread FUD, but to point out that current market participants or late entrants or individuals who have entered Bitcoin since 2018 that they are very susceptible to FUD, that they are very susceptible to fear, that they are very susceptible to all this negative atmosphere that has been billowing around the space lately. And the other thing too, and this might be controversial, but the HODL concept is not what it was. The HODL concept comes from early days of Bitcoinery. And so you have a lot of people that are jumping in and running into Bitcoin now that are saying hodl, 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 hodl. Don't trade, just hodl, just hold no matter what, just hodl, hodl, hodl. And although, again, there's nothing wrong with the buy and hold return. Again, as an investor in Bitcoin, I'm not letting my Bitcoin go. I'm not selling my Bitcoin. I'm a very, very ardent believer and supporter of Bitcoin, and I will continue to buy Bitcoin. As we continue, even if we do descend further into the bowels of El Diablo. In fact, I would love that opportunity to accumulate more cheap Bitcoin. I fully have faith in the future bullishness of this asset as far as price is concerned. But I just want to point out that the hodl concept is not what it was before Bitcoin had mooned, right? Bitcoin has mooned, right? It did reach a massive valuation of 19.7K, depending on what exchange you're on. And so all those early hodl people, they already made their millions, right? They already made out like bandits, And of course, you still have market participants or, early entrants into Bitcoin that still have their Bitcoin and haven't sold their Bitcoin, but you have a lot that have, right? So we've already seen that massive parabolic, potentially blow off top phase. So I just want to caution people about that hodl concept, hodl over intelligence, right? Again, invest, but do so wisely. On top of this, we have fears over Bakkt, which we're going to talk about here in just a little bit. Are they actually physically delivering Bitcoin? Is Bakkt just another attempt from Wall Street to co-opt Bitcoin or to take over Bitcoin, like we saw with the CMEs and the CME narrative to tame Bitcoin when they launched back in 2017? And then on top of this, we have new altcoin projects launching. Good altcoin projects. I'd say that the majority of altcoin projects that launched in 2017 and 2018 are largely garbage. They don't have strong companies behind them. They haven't brought products to market. They're just not very good investments. They're volatile penny stocks. But now we have all of these larger established companies bringing blockchain projects to market or launching their own token or doing IEOs. And again, I actually don't discount the due diligence and the research that companies like Binance or Huobi do actually on their IEOs. Now, we've seen that price has gone down a lot of these IEOs, and I think a lot of that is due to the sentiment in the space. But look at something like Cocos, for example. Like they're one of the largest gaming platforms, and they're bringing their blockchain project to the space, right? And then you have things like Engine, what Engine Coins is doing, and then you have things like Zilliqua. I mean, you have these very, very well established. Zilliqua is a bad example because they launched earlier, but again, Zilliqua is interesting too. If you guys go look at the chart and you look at the fundamentals, but you have these very, very much better projects that are coming to market now and launching their tokens, and a lot of excitement and energy over that, and especially if you look at China, if you look at China coins, look at VeChain, look at Neo leading the charge to the upside. And you have all, basically these small communities, just like we saw with XRP. But of course, we know that XRP is largely garbage. But you have these same very supportive, rabid communities forming around these new China coins now. Or, coins that have been around for a while, like VeChain, Neo's been around for much, much longer. But you have these rabid communities starting to rally and form around that. And I think largely that's because of the somewhat negative atmosphere in the Bitcoin space, feeling not accepting new people into the community as it was back in 2016 and earlier. And so they're being pushed into these smaller project communities and ecosystems. On top of this, we have crypto winter. I don't want to discount the effect that that had on hodlers or on market participants. A lot of individuals probably feel burnout, probably feel a lot of the luster has gone and died in their eyes. And another thing that I want to point out is, we have all these concerns and fears. We talk about them all the time, from Libra to government surveillance to Facebook to privacy to leaking of private information to data. And yet we haven't seen a large of users off of those platforms due to concerns over these issues. We hear you see people post shit about Facebook and Facebook surveillance and privacy on Facebook. So we haven't seen a massive reaction from that. And quite the opposite. We've actually seen a large influx of new users to these platforms, these centralized corporate platforms, especially in the international scene. But I want to look at a longer time scale here. With all that being said, Bitcoin has not lost what it is fundamentally. And if we're just specifically talking about price, Bitcoin is still the name brand cryptocurrency. It's not going anywhere. Bitcoin still has the most ardent support. It has the best development. It has the best developers. It has, in my opinion, for all this other stuff that I just mentioned, an extremely strong community. And it has the ethos of being committed to being a decentralized currency, whether it becomes a store of value or whether it becomes feasible to use it for daily transactions as more merchants accept it and as it becomes more mainstream. But the main thing that I want to point out here is just reminding you guys of how markets are made. I have a very old video that you guys can go back and watch this. I was talking about this back in 2017. about how markets are made and how institutional money will actually come into Bitcoin. And I laid out in that video, which is now 2 years old, a 5 to 10 year game plan for Bitcoin and what I predicted to see. And so far, I'd like to say I was spot on. I'd like to say I was spot on with exactly what we've seen. You know, we've covered how Bitcoin, you know, how about traditional financial services are moving into Bitcoin and setting up Bitcoin banking and insurance and investment instruments all centered around Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. We're going to see more and more and more of that. You know, this leads credence to CoinShares report that just came out just a while ago, which we covered on this channel just a few days ago, which is stuff that I talked about back in 2017, looking at long-term forward trends. You know, Bitcoin still is Bitcoin, and it's not going anywhere. Bitcoin is not going anywhere. Doesn't matter what the price does. Bitcoin's not going anywhere, and it's still potentially one of the best, maybe not one of the best, but still a store of value and a currency and an investment that you do not want to discount. And we are undoubtedly, we are objectively seeing institutions step in and establish positions in Bitcoin and establish services centered around Bitcoin. Just like we talked about with the Royal Bank of Canada, just like we talked about with financial services coming in and building up, again, just as I talked about, platforms and custody and insurance and investment instruments, all of these will continue to be built around Bitcoin for a very long time. Bitcoin's not going anywhere. But the reality is that the way that price moves with investment vehicles, if you're looking at Bitcoin as an investment vehicle, institutions come in, establish positions, corner the market, and then they build these investment products up over time, whether they're being index funds that track, whether they are vehicles for investment, whatever it might be, or, you know, actual individual products itself. Then they take those products and they set them up in such a way in which they get fees, in which they get, you know, fee kickbacks from insurance, in which they get all these things, right? All these, this is the way traditional finance works. And then they market them to the public through brokerages, through trading, through investing, through the news, through CNBC, through C-SPAN, through CNN. All of this is marketed to the public. It's retailed to 401ks, to retirement funds, to city investors, to nation state investors. All of these things are marketed as products. And that is how price goes up. Go back and look at any index fund, a mutual fund, how they're marketed, how they're put together, how they're built, how they're structured, and how they're marketed to the public, and how their value goes up in time. And the same thing is going to happen for Bitcoin. These institutional products are going to be built. These investment vehicles are going to be built. They're going to be marketed to the public. And that is when you will see the next wave of retail adoption. So if you are in Bitcoin right now, Bitcoin remains highly lucrative to trade. I am able to live a life of financial independence trading Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. And that's not going anywhere either. If you guys would like more information on that, of course, you can always join us in the group. But where we sit right now is absolutely critical to stop and look at the long term, refresh and recharge our batteries, deal with all the negative stuff that I just said, take that into account, and then stomach that and stomach what might happen currently with price as we project and look forward into the future and we look at everything that we know is being built, but that we just aren't seeing an immediate reaction in price from. So, my final analysis is if you are in Bitcoin, this is not the time to lose faith. This is the time to buckle down, to tighten your belt, and to be prepared to ride this train for a while. Because again, we want to go back to the HODL mentality. We know that buy and hold works. And we know that to the victor go the spoils. And the victors are the ones who can see the future and make actionable game plans based upon their reading of the future. Let me know what you guys think. If you're watching this video later, because I am going to cut this clip and put it up on Twitter, please post your thoughts in the comment section down below and let me know in the live chat. I'd love to have a conversation around this. But before we get into those comments, let's go break down the news for today. Okay, guys. So let's go to the first story of the day. And maybe a little lightheartedness after that step into my conversational room there. Which is going to be on Verge. Yes, we've got pumpkins. We've got gourds. Verge pulls out is the narrative. Yes, very mature around here. But obviously, we're seeing a big run up in Verge's price. And the reason why this is happening is because Pornhub, yes, the second favorite website bookmarked on your Google Chrome, next to, of course, yt.crackingcryptocurrency.com. Make sure to subscribe. Because Pornhub has pulled support, or PayPal has pulled support for Pornhub. So now you are no longer able to contribute to your favorite e-girl utilizing PayPal payment services. So Verge obviously made a huge deal. This was back in 2018, where Verge announced the next big thing for Verge. This is going to be absolutely massive, and they partnered with Pornhub for Pornhub to accept Verge payments in return for services, whether you're doing the e-girl thing or whether it doesn't matter what you're doing on Pornhub. I'm not judging. But Verge, with the great marketers that they are, decided that as soon as this announcement came out, Verge published a large infomercial and a large brochure, or I don't know if those are even the right words, but they made a big announcement. They ran Pornhub through how to quickly convert Verge into cash for them to accept the services, and they made it very, very, very known to the Pornhub community that that Verge is acceptable for them to accept payments. And obviously, people were getting a little jittery, having a few moments away from their favorite recreational activities, and they quickly started utilizing Verge. They've seen an increase in Verge payment, a massive increase in Verge payments, and we've seen a reflection in that in the price. Verge obviously skyrocketing significantly, settling down a little bit, and now continuing its next leg up. And what's interesting is that Verge, which was a cryptocurrency that was designed to make payments truly anonymous, supposedly, has burst obviously on this announcement. So. And, this is interesting because prior to this recent bullish movement, Verge, pronounced among cryptocurrencies, was on a punishing downtrend since May of 2019. It lost almost half of its value since then. But nonetheless, interest in this crypto seems to be soaring, with a search interest for Verge multiplying by more than 20 times since early yesterday, according to Google search trends. So just... Mr. Ether saying, correction, that is my first favorite incognito bookmark. Good stuff, guys. So fear not if you have been cut off from your favorite recreational activity. Verge has got your back. Now, something a little bit more positive as well. If we go in here, we can see some information about the IRS. Now, we've talked a lot about crypto taxes. We've talked a lot on this channel about the IRS. We've talked a lot about their policies. We've broken down their policies in detail. I read the reports. I read the newsletter. But the sentiment coming out now from this latest information is that the IRS is actually rewarding those who are cooperating with their efforts, which of course the government wants you to give the carrot. And then if you don't, and then the stick, and then a little carrot, then a little stick, and then a little carrot, and a little stick. But my bedroom activities aside, the IRS has made very, very clear that the matter of cryptocurrency-related taxes has been a major question, obviously, for American investors and us in the United States for a few years now. Now, while the country continues to operate without any official crypto regulation, or a hint even that such regulations might be right around the corner, those willing to cooperate with the IRS might see some considerable benefits in the form of tax reductions or even refunds. Now, this has already happened as the IRS provided tax refunds to some crypto users who complied with letters sent by the IRS, which we reported on earlier this year. The letters that we're talking about requested proof of trades and transactions that would support the user's tax reports, and those who had submitted them did end up receiving refunds from the IRS. Now, according to Chandan Lodha, who is the co-founder of CoinTracker, this serves as proof that the IRS does not aim to be punitive. The agency even notified one investor that he owed $3,900 in taxes, and after he had provided the payment of $3,900 to the IRS, the agency rewarded him with a full refund. Now, CoinTracker has already collaborated with hundreds of crypto owners in order to help them respond to the letters from the IRS. However, the representative did not share how many refunds the agency had sent. What is known is that the IRS sent around 10,000 letters requesting that crypto users fulfill their crypto-related tax obligations. Because the IRS does not know. The IRS knows when a transaction occurs, because the IRS is building up their own Explorer so that they can track their own things. And this is going to continue. And this is why I've advocated for individuals to pay their taxes. I have, for my entire life, even being in the libertarian or the ANCAP movement, I have never come out and publicly supported, nor will I, because I think it's foolish. In fact, I've been a vocal proponent against utilizing non-payment of taxes as a form of protest. It is ridiculous. It is silly. You are only going to get yourself in trouble, and you are not benefiting any movement. Anything that you think that you're doing, you're only hurting yourself and your family and your friends and those who rely upon you and your voice if you attempt to protest against the government by not paying taxes. They don't care. They'll just throw you in a box, right? And being thrown in a box for not paying your taxes is not a legitimate form of protest. It hasn't worked for anybody. Go ask Denzel Washington. You know, there's a lot of stuff out there that's right, but the gold fringe on the flag, the gold fringe on the flag, the red letter movement, those people have it wrong. I'm sorry that they have it wrong. All right. And culminating finally with today's discussion, I want to talk about Chico Crypto's new video on Bakkt. Now, as Bakkt volume appears to be growing, leading a lot of individuals in the space to be quite bullish about the Bakkt Big Daddy dream, one skeptic believes that the physically settled Bitcoin futures platform is not as good for the cryptocurrency space as many first believed. So YouTuber Chico Crypto goes so far as to say that Bakkt represents an attack on Bitcoin by Wall Street. So in his recently published video, Bakkt is bad for Bitcoin, exposing the Wall Street attack, he highlighted several peculiarities about the ICE Bakkt futures exchange and custody solution. The most notable of these relate to the actual process of taking delivery of the physical Bitcoin from the physically settled Bitcoin futures contract. After noticing that Bakkt has never posted a public address for its custody solution, he did a bit more digging, and he discovered that the company behind the Bakkt warehouse was likely created by Bakkt itself. Further research to him concluded that there is no public information that he could find about the process of withdrawing Bitcoin from the Bakkt warehouse whatsoever. And this is a pretty large divergence from the way that other regulated deliverable commodity exchanges and contracts work in existence, because they publish detailed information about how a trader or participant will actually take delivery of a commodity. And so this seems quite suspicious. And raising further questions to him was the fact that he was unable to find any evidence of or knowledge of the future commission's merchants at Bakkt. Now, again, he reasons that this is inconsistent with other futures markets, which I, as an active trader, would agree with. Now, again, I do want to put a little bit of a pin in this because Bakkt is new, the custody solution is new, the Bakkt warehouse is new, and it's possible that, again, that in his research, because I feel that he has done a little bit more digging on this than I have. I didn't have time to look into this as much as he seems to have done, but I wasn't able to find the information either after my slight dive into this topic. So this is concerning, this is weird, this is odd, but I do want to give Bakkt the benefit of the doubt here and give them an opportunity to publish this. I feel that the narrative that Bakkt is an attack on Bitcoin insofar as taming Bitcoin's price, okay, I can get down with that. Maybe this is another Illuminati lizard lord attempt to co-opt Bitcoin. But I find it highly unlikely that an ICE-regulated, physically delivered futures platform is not going to physically deliver Bitcoin futures. I mean, that's just these... You know, for all the scumbaggery and evilness that may or may not occur in the traditional finance sector, they typically don't blatantly lie like that because that is very easily verifiable. All it's going to take is one CNN report, one C-SPAN report. So again, all due respect to Mr. Chico over there, but it's possible again that he didn't intend it as this. This does feel, a little clickbaity. Because obviously it's a very exciting topic. And again, I don't want to, again, I actually quite like Chico's reporting. I quite like some of his videos that I've had the pleasure of seeing. I actually got to meet Chico in San Francisco for San Francisco Blockchain Week. And that dude can wear a mean Kit Harington costume. So hail to the king. But I do think that potentially we're going a little too far on this one. I do think that it is more likely that Bakkt does physically deliver the Bitcoin futures. As far as the Bakkt warehouse being set up by Bakkt itself, that seems to make sense. Bakkt purchased the Bakkt warehouse for a very, very low price, and it wouldn't be very weird or out of the question that they set up a subsidiary to deal with this problem, because that was one of the sticking points for them to get approved in the first place from the New York Department of Financial Services. So again, taking things into their own account and setting that up, I don't feel like there's a big there doesn't necessarily have to be a huge conflict of interest there. It doesn't have to necessarily be a huge conflict of interest there. So because again, like think about this, like this is getting a lot of traction on YouTube. Imagine if this is a real thing, imagine like what one CNN report would do to blow the lid off of this. And I don't feel like that Bakkt would set themselves up. There are very, very smart people working there. I don't understand why they would set themselves up, because again, this seems like this would be very, very easily discovered. So we'll see. You know, the idea that you cannot withdraw from the Bakkt platform if you do get the physical delivery of Bitcoin, that just seems very, very unlikely to me at this point in time. You know, really blatant, you know, kind of scams and conspiracies like this generally don't make it past the New York Department of Financial Services. And we have to understand that all these regulatory authorities have done their due diligence more than I or any other YouTuber can. So, you know, I like him bringing knowledge of this to the space. I like him kind of pointing out the narrative that potentially Bakkt is not this big daddy Bakkt that everybody made it out to be, that it is actually another co-opting attempt from Wall Street on Bitcoin's price action to tame it. And actually, again, as I said, you know, keep price at a level where institutions can accumulate it, as I was talking about earlier, before they can launch financial products and services. But I do think that we're missing the mark here a little bit to say that that it's a scam or a danger in this aspect. I think that's far-fetched. Now, I could be wrong, and he could be right on the money. I think we're just gonna have to wait and take time. But it seems like this would be fairly easily verifiable. So I'm gonna do some digging over the weekend, and I'm gonna touch back on this on Monday and let you guys know what I find. And Chico, if you're watching, man, looking forward to seeing you next year at San Francisco Blockchain Week again. So no disrespect, my friend. All right, back to Bitcoin. Not a lot's happened. And I think this is a good time to, you know, it's Friday, guys. It's the weekend. You guys know what that means. Doves are flying, man. It's the weekend. Congratulations. We made it, guys. Another week in the books, guys. Another week in the books. All right. All right, let's kick back, guys, and let's chat. Let's talk. All right. A lot of activity in the chat, guys. So give me some time to work through this. I want to answer your questions. I want to have a good conversation here. Ali Sanyi says, Justin, why have you started to look at order blocks and demand, support, and resistance in these days? Because the reality is that I have always looked at order blocks and support and resistance. But when I launched PTP in a more public fashion and started and made this dedication to really start walking traders through how to trade systemically, I am releasing elements of how I trade slowly to my fans, to people who watch, to people who are mentoring under me, to people who are learning, so that they don't get overwhelmed with all the concepts at once. Support and resistance is something that we've touched, that we teach in the premium group, in the premium webinar series, and is a part of PTP and is going to be added in one of the future modules on the PTP. But everybody is doing very, very well right now with their current iterations of PTP, and that's what I want. I want people to start building the system, because you have to understand the way that I trade and the way that I'm teaching individuals to trade and the way that most people trade and the way that almost all education out there is centered is it's night and day. Nobody talks about backtesting. Nobody talks about building a technical indicator-based system. Nobody talks about finding objective signals. Nobody talks about building a win-loss Nobody talks about building a win-loss ratio that averages profit out over time. Nobody talks about psychological discipline. Nobody talks about forward testing. Nobody talks about risk. Nobody talks about any of these things. Everybody talks about trend lines, Fibonacci retracements, reversal trading, blah, 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 blah. It's nonsense. It's not real trading. And that's, so my earnest desire is for people to learn how to trade in a consistently profitable manner. So it looks like the chat, I'm going to restart the chat because looks like the chat on this screen has not, oh, maybe he just re-asked the question and I was answering it. That's funny. Like he asked this. So sorry. So the reality is that I've always looked at these things and I want people to learn as we go. I want people to start off on the right foot with just getting it in their head about backtesting, about building systems, about technical indicators, about all of these things. And then as they grow and understanding that, and once they're on the right side of the fence, add a few layers of complexity on top of that. Things like how to take reversal trades with PTP. Things like how to play off supply and demand in PTP. Craig Wright argues that it was the Cypher anarcho community that projected these, what I was talking about earlier, onto Bitcoin, and that as Satoshi, he says that wasn't the intention at all. Yeah. Mr. Craig Wright, cool story, bro. Tell it again. Well, so the reality is that I think that, yes, I think that a lot of individuals have added layers or meanings on top of the white paper, but we have to just understand that the original ethos, what happened to the chat, man? What's going on with this chat, dude? We have to understand that the original intention of the white paper, as laid out in crystal clear black and white, is to create a decentralized currency that is not tied to the regular markets, that allow people to have full autonomy over their payments and to send transactions without the permission or approval of a third party. This stands. So again, this is not arguable. This is directly in the white paper. The purpose of Bitcoin, as stated in the white paper, is to create a decentralized currency that does not have a central point of failure, that does not have a central point of authority, and that allows an individual to have unconfiscatable funds and to send a transaction to anyone in the world without third-party permission. It is that stands directly in the face of modern monetary theory. And I don't want to necessarily call out modern monetary theory, but that necessarily calls out any kind of philosophy of economics or finance that says that the government needs to have full authority and centralization of the monetary supply or the currency. And that, and I would say modern arguments that things like Bitcoin or things like cash are actually antisocial or don't contribute to a good functioning economy. So whether or not you believe those, the argument that Bitcoin was in line with those concepts is completely wrong, because the entire idea of Bitcoin, the way that Bitcoin works programmatically, is to allow people to be able to send a payment without third-party permission. That means that the government or any nation state or central banking authority is cut out from this equation. So there is inevitably an element of libertarianism insofar as that, at least liberty over financial independence. I mean, that is baked into the white paper. I don't think there's any arguing from that. If you guys go read the Satoshi archives, I think that comes out very, very strongly with Satoshi's intentions, with the evidence that we have of what he wrote in the Bitcoin talk and in the original email chain and threads. GB Wally says, it is amazing how many trigger words there are in crypto. They're usually susceptible to one's own order book. China fears, in combination with China's glory, China hype / shift in geopolitical power, is part of the speculation driving the space to the upside. Absolutely. What do I think of the fact that Chinese digital currency will allow them to put surveillance on all digital assets, which could be bad for Bitcoin? Well, Bitcoin's an open public explorer, so I mean, there's already surveillance on Bitcoin since the first block was mined. So, you know, I don't see how China's new digital currency gives them better or greater insights into these digital assets. They'd actually have to co-opt or go in those currencies or be on the programmatic chain or code of those currencies. Mr. Ether says, if Bitcoin went to $300, could you keep buying? It depends on the manner of Bitcoin going to 300. So I would be hedged up until this futures contract's closed and wouldn't allow me to hedge anymore. Most likely not at that point in time. I'd probably maintain a fairly nice sized position. And again, my other investments keep me well diversified. If Bitcoin went to zero tonight, I wouldn't be financially ruined. Now, I'd take a hit, but I'd be okay. You know, I'm well diversified. Traditional markets, index funds, dividend stocks, real estate. All these things are okay. And I think that's absolutely critical for people. And I think maybe that's a point I should have made. Like, not saying that Bitcoin isn't going to moon. Bitcoin's going to moon, guys. But, you know, let's make sure that we're diversified here. But it would depend on the manner. If Bitcoin went to $300 like right now on my exchange, I'd buy the hell out of it, bro. And I would do the stream tomorrow from my new Lamborghini. Actually, it'd be a McLaren. I'm not buying a damn Lamborghini. Lamborghinis are so tacky and nasty, dude. It'd be a nice old McLaren. Thank you guys. Ken D, Agency AGW. Highly appreciated. Basically just saying like, oh, dude, solid. Thank you guys. I appreciate that. You guys are too. I enjoy our conversations. Mr. Ether says, I have nailed it on more than one occasion. That's what she said. Thank you, sir. Shifting people from centralized platforms to decentralized technology will take a long time. People are not motivated enough despite issues around privacy and ads sucking, Jack says. I agree, man. It's Hard gives us a +1. Jack pointing out that Bitcoin has the momentum. It doesn't have to be the best. Clearly carving out a tight financial niche as digital gold or a new age asset. Altcoins like VeChain could do great, but have nothing to do with Bitcoin. What's going on, Michael Pell? Good to see you, my friend. Answer to the riddle is in the middle. Adit Yamaki, thanks so much for following us over on Twitch, man. Highly appreciated. They'll get their guns and armies and come rob your place, bro. By the way, guys, huge shout out to everybody watching over on D Live right now. And let's get this chest stocked up, guys. You know we do chest giveaways every single day. And 8 followers today, guys. Thank you so much. Dude on the web, thank you so much for the 5 lemons, my good friend. I can't scroll much farther back over here on D Live. I wish I could, but it's you know what, guys? It is Friday. Let's throw 250 lemons in this this chesticle right here. Let's get this going, man. Let's do this treasure, man. I'm gonna open it up in about 5 minutes. So if you guys want to do your thing, get involved, get ready for the participation, man. Word of the day, scumbaggery. TM. Dink. As asked earlier, do I think that clean Bitcoin, meaning mined and never circulated, will be treated differently than circulated BTC? There is definitely a possibility for that. Yes, there's definitely a possibility for that. There's a lot of talk about, you know, the colored coins isn't quite the same concept. Colored coins is a little bit different, but there is definitely a big fear about this trend of, blacklisted BTC. Definitely a big fear of that. It just really depends on where we go. Dude on the web, Forza, you go chill. Thank you guys so much for the lemons and the donations, my friend. Jonathan punched his screen. I thought the birds were coming at me. Ricky says, people don't know when they put money into a bank that it's not your money anymore. They do not have to give it to you if they don't want to. All you get is a credit slip. Do not trust them for big deposits. Senor gains a lot. What do I think about the ByBit altcoin pairs? They are looking weak. They pretty much track the dollars. There's different intraday volatility and trade opportunities. I'm actually quite eager for ByBit to add a few more trading pairs. But again, I'm very, very pleased with ByBit and everything that goes down over there. Love their customer service, and the platform doesn't go down. I think that's why more people are coming over to ByBit because, for example, unlike almost every other exchange, derivatives exchange that went down off that Jericho candle, ByBit was up and running, baby. No problem getting filled. But yeah, everything's looking pretty weak right now. So, I mean, the only argument that this is a bear trap and that this is a test for liquidity before a big pump to the upside, it's only a 32% chance of that. We broke a monthly low. So I think I'm in the trade to the downside. Caprica asks if I still listen to Minx. Of course. She's my second favorite Twitch DJ. Jonathan says, I just started watching your videos about 2 to 3 weeks ago. I've learned so much. Thank you, man. Mish Lichter says, Mish Lichter actually says, nobody teaches you how to control your emotions. That is true. T Swift XO, man, see, this is why Justin and Company is one of the best resources I've come across so far. Thank you, man. How far do I backtest? Depends on the chart. Initial backtest, again, for Bitcoin right now, a 1-year backtest is pretty good because you get whoa, hey, what's going on there, Mike? You get bearish trend, you get accumulation, you get bullish trend, and then you get distribution. So I think a year-long backtest right now is pretty good. But again, it just depends on, there are multiple phases of my backtesting. Because I'm going to do the initial back test for percent profitability and win-loss ratio, and then I'm going to port that back. I'm going to do advanced back testing where I take that strategy and I test it on other charts, because you never want. See, most people hyper optimize. Most people think with back testing you're trying to get the best results, the best hyper optimizations. You don't. You want a strategy that works well on just about anything, and that's a good trading strategy. If you hyper optimize, you're hyper optimizing for specific instances of the past, and that means you'll be less well positioned to take advantage of generalized trends in the future. Thank you so much, T Swift. Highly appreciated. Digital Daddy, what was my main profession before I started to trade Bitcoin and other assets? Well, I've been a trader for a long time. I've talked about my background before. This actually be a Breaking Bitcoin Bits that we upload. We're going to start doing these new videos called Breaking Bitcoin Bits that we'll upload to the channel here. We're going to start doing that here pretty shortly. I think maybe the first one might come out next week, actually. I got to look at our content creation schedule. But, sorry. So I started my first company when I was in college, got my first degree from college, and then left college to be an entrepreneur. My first business ever was Wise Choice Organics. I started it with my friend in college. We ran a CSA, which is a community supported agriculture. So essentially, we rented farmland, and we got the land licensed organic, and we grew organic tomatoes and peppers. Primarily, we grew some other produce as well. And then we had a broker at the largest farmers market in the state where we live. I was able to negotiate that. We sold some produce to restaurants. We sold some produce to some retailers, and that did very, very well. So that was my first company. Left that company. Then I worked in I kind of followed in my kind of followed in my family's footsteps. My family are career employees at a very large international HVAC company, so I moved into management at this HVAC company, and I did that for quite some time. Then I took some time off from that and I traveled, and this is when I began really full-time trading at that point in time after I got done with my travels. And then I was trading, and then I went back to work at the HVAC company because I could go have a full-time job right now and still trade and do everything that I do right now. I just don't want to. I don't have to. I couldn't run cracking cryptocurrency. That's my full-time job, but you know, I could live off my trading income comfortably for very, 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 very long time. Then I went back to management at the HVAC company and finally left that. And that's the last job I've had. I've had a couple other small businesses here and there that I've started and stopped. When I was traveling, most people don't know this, but some of you do who have followed the show for a while. I was a magician. I was a cardistry artist. I've taught male confidence. I've taught public speaking. I've done relationship advice. I've done a lot of things. Midwest, very accurate weather reports. Yes. Ian's theory is that John McAfee is Satoshi Nakamoto. Are you talking about ethos? That was great. It went up to $600 million cap, and the owner founder was still in college like a sophomore, and he was still a full-time student. No, man. Buy a new guitar, like a Gibson Super Deluxe. Oh, yeah, buddy. All right, let's distribute this chest, guys, and go. Johnny, what's going on, my friend? Good to have you in the chat. Satoshi Nakafomo, am I going to join the ByBit competition? The winner gets $100. Not only am I going to join the competition, ByBit has made me a team captain. So if you guys want to sign up and join the Cracking Cryptocurrency team, you guys can do that. Sign up with the link down in the description, bybit.crackingcryptocurrency.com. There's going to be a 100 Bitcoin prize pool. We did place in the top 20 for the EOS trading competition, and we could have done that much, much better. We're much more organized, and we're going to do much better with the Bitcoin trading competition. EOS was fairly tricky to trade. So you ended up getting the biggest like random gamblers who just happened to get lucky that won the competition. But we're going to crush this Bitcoin trading competition. Really, really pleased about it. Happy about ByBit's confidence in me to lead a team. And we're going to do that. Am I an advocate of Mark Douglas's material for learning to deal with the emotional side of trading that I hear you mention? Yeah, Trading in the Zone is one of the best trading books out there. It's had a huge impact on me. Distributing these rewards, you go chill, getting a big $127 fat lemon, my friend. Poikaz getting 73.6 and Dude on the Web 53.5. Dude on the Web, thank you so much for the ice creams, my friend. You go chill. Highly appreciate it, guys. Thank you so much. I have a side job of eating chicken wings and interviewing celebrities. This is somewhat true. Sincere 80 is thinking about selling half of my long-term Bitcoin holdings for Basic Attention Token, Link, and Neo. Any thoughts? I think that they're pretty overheated right now. I would wait to see if we get good breakouts. So no is my recommendation. When we talk about accumulating things for the long term, you never want to accumulate as price is trending to the upside. You're past the accumulation point. Go pick 3 different ones. Go pick things that are really, really low and haven't moved up. I don't know. I don't want to throw, Zilliqua is a good example. Maybe I'm not saying specifically Zilliqua, but if you just go look at the structure of Zilliqua, right? It's in its accumulation area, right? Go find something like that if you're looking to establish long-term positions, my friend. All right, with that being said, guys, with that being said, you guys have been absolutely fantastic. I want to give you a big thank you for joining me today for today's episode of Breaking Bitcoin. Of course, I've been your host, Justin Wise, lead analyst and co-founder around these parts. I hope you guys have an absolutely fantastic weekend. And it has come to my attention that, just as you guys have become part of my daily routine, some of you have invited me into your homes via YouTube or into your mobile devices or into your car or into the bathroom at your office where you said that you would just need to go to the bathroom real quick, but you've been in there for 30 minutes instead of working on your report. You know who you are. And you've slipped into the bathroom to watch your favorite YouTuber on YouTube. You guys have invited me into your life, and I really appreciate that. And it's come to my attention that some of you feel a little off during the weekends when we're not streaming. So I am taking measures to rectify that. As you guys know, I did used to stream on the weekends. I stopped doing that as it was actually having I noticed a negative impact on my family. I obviously have a very young daughter who's 2 years old, and this is a very beautiful, important time. I want to spend as much time with her as I can. But we do have other analysts, other individuals who I think would be fantastic. We are looking to bring them to you potentially so that we can showcase more of what cracking cryptocurrency does to the individuals who are not in the group so that people can see all of that for themselves. So look forward to that. We have some and don't worry, we do have content coming out this weekend. There will be a steady stream of good content. The first interview from San Francisco, my video on how to keep your Bitcoin indestructible, and of course, the first video in the ByBit tutorial series will all be coming out this weekend. So stay tuned for that. Make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel if you have not already, because that's the only place where the pre-recorded content is going to be uploaded. yt.crackingcryptocurrency.com real quick. But always make sure and feel free to hop in our Discord where we are all the time. Discord.crackingcryptocurrency.com will bring you to our community there as well. If you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, sarcastic remarks, or death threats on YouTube, leave them in the comments section down below. You guys crushed it with comments yesterday. Thank you so much for boosting us up in the YouTube algorithm, because leaving a comment and hitting the thumbs up button may not seem like a lot to you, but it does help get this information out, does help boost the video, and we really appreciate you guys supporting the community like that. Other than that, guys, I will be back on Monday. Same crypto time, same crypto network, guys. I hope you guys have a great weekend. Trade safely, and I'll see you guys in the Discord.